Hello and welcome to Warp Factor Unknown, a Star Trek rewatch podcast where we take a random episode of Star Trek from all of the Star Trek shows for a rewatch. My name's Dan and I'm joined today by my co-host, Tom.
Hello again everyone, good to be here.
Fantastic. And we're in the penultimate episode. We're in Discovery, so the Season 3 final, There Is Hope Part 2. And we just got to start with a bit of housekeeping. At the end of the last podcast when we selected this episode, there was a bit of confusion between us about the Part 2 and the Part 1, because Episode 12 of Season 3 wasn't Part 1. Figured it out. Part 1 is Episode 1, Season 3. So we have made the executive decision to only watch Part 2, so Episode 13. We're not going to watch Episode 12. We're not going to watch Episode 1. So yeah, just to clear that up for anyone who is listening along, if you did watch Episode 12 and 13, like we said we might, I'm sorry, you've just watched 2 episodes of Star Trek. I'm sure you'll be fine. Tom, I would like to kick us off, if I may, just because I had a few expectations coming into this episode. When we rolled for Discovery, or spun for Discovery, I was initially not super pumped. I love all Star Trek, as you know, but I love some Star Trek more than others. And Discovery is one of the shows I love a little bit less than some of the other shows. You know, if you ask me on any given day of the week, do you want to watch from TNG or Discovery? Probably going to say TNG.
Yeah, I would be the same.
Yeah, so I think I was kind of hoping for one of the other shows to watch, and we've already had an episode of Discovery in this podcast so far. And then when it came to the series, I was like, okay, fine, let's get Series 2, because we might get some of that Strange New Worlds crossover. We might get Pike or Spock and that kind of thing. That'd be kind of cool. But we got Season 3. So, okay, fine. And then when we spun for the episode, we got Episode 13. But if you remember, the spinner almost landed on Episode 1.
Yes.
It did. And I think we was both like, it would have been better to get Episode 1 as opposed to Episode 13. So in all 3 spins, I was a bit sort of not quite what I was hoping for. But having gone away and watched it, yeah, I think I was sort of a bit pleasantly surprised about how much I did actually enjoy it compared to what I thought I would, how much I'd enjoy it. So yeah, that was just more of my expectations were kind of challenged.
Yeah, I mean, my expectations, I didn't really know what to expect because I've watched the first series of Discovery.
And 1 episode of Season 4.
And 1 episode of Season 4, but I didn't know. I'd heard that there was something to do with time travel that happened, I believe, in Season 3. But I did not prepare myself to be so pleasantly confused as I was throughout the entire hour-long episode.
I mean, it's a season final, isn't it? Like,
yeah.
It's a combination of 13 episodes, so 12 episodes.
I was like, why is Saru human? And then, the guy with the bridge nose.
Yeah, Dr. Colmar.
Dr. Colmar. I was like, why? Is he Bajoran now?
Yeah.
I thought maybe they'd taken some liberties with the plot, or maybe they forgot what they were doing, but no. Apparently it's a holodeck.
Yeah, they were on a holodeck which was breaking down.
Called Hollows? Are they the people that inhabit the holodeck?
Yeah, so the holodeck characters were just called Hollows. I don't know if that's like a future thing or just this character's thing. He just calls them Hollows. Not too sure. But yeah, I was also not quite as confused because I have seen Season 3 before in its entirety. So I did sort of remember some stuff, but I was also pretty confused about what's going on.
That's a relief.
Yeah, but just to, I guess, start us off, what's the actor's name who plays Saru?
Doug Jones.
Doug Jones.
I know him from being in Pan's Labyrinth.
Yeah.
I believe he was in a horror film called REC or Wreck, and
was he in Hellboy as well? Did he play the fish guy in Hellboy?
Oh, he played the fish guy in Hellboy as well, yeah. And he's known for being like a contortionist. He's very sort of flexible. You can just tell the way he moves as Saru.
Whenever I've seen him, he's always been in like heavy prosthetics.
Yeah.
So the thing I wanted to bring up was like, it's really nice to see him as him, just in like human form, no heavy makeup. He's got a few little wounds on his face, but it's really cool to see him and how he moves just sort of normally and to see his real face. I bet he had an absolute blast doing that. I bet he loved
no makeup for once.
Yeah. It must have felt really strange for him to be acting outside of makeup, so I thought that was really cool.
No, I thought it was good the way that the characters were portrayed so differently than what I've been used to seeing in season 1 only, because there were a lot of characters. I was like, who is this person? And I don't know if it was because they looked different, but this one person that seemed to be like a bit of a, I don't know how you describe it, as like a phantom or like a ghost.
Let's do that then. So
you can see me.
Yeah, so you've got Adira, and they're the one who beams down, and they beam down with all the makeup on, the tattoos. That's what the holodeck's doing to them.
Yeah.
And the other person is called Grey. And I can't remember when either of these characters got introduced or too much about their story, either of their stories. They're in a relationship. That much I know. Grey...
Adira and...
Yeah, Grey, yes. And Grey died somehow. I don't know how, or there was in some kind of accident. And I think the best way I can describe it is, do you remember the episode of TNG where Geordie and Ensign Rowe they get phased?
Yes.
So Grey's like that. He's kind of out of phase. Like Adira can see him.
Yeah.
But nobody else can. So that's why it's an emotional moment, because he's gone, I don't know, weeks, months, year, just sort of only being able to see and interact with one other person.
Yeah.
So yeah, but how he became like that, I can't remember.
When you say one other person, do you mean he can only speak to Adira?
Adira, yeah.
Oh, okay, right. Yeah. Because they are, attuned to...
I don't know why they can see them. I can't remember their storyline at all. I don't even know if this happened in season 2 or season 3, season 1. I can't remember, but that's the basics, I think. And I also can't remember if the rest of the crew were sort of questioning, and if they were like, "Are you crazy?" to Adira, like this person they've died. I can't remember how they reacted to that. But obviously now that they've got proof that Grey is real, not dead or whatever. Yeah, so that's them, and their story doesn't fit too much into this episode, I don't think. It's there a little bit. I guess it just sort of proves that, yes, Grey's there. We will try and fix you. I can't remember if I assume it gets fixed in season 4. I don't know. Who knows?
So Burnham is now captain in season 4.
Season 1, Burnham basically causes the War of the Klingons. Do you remember that?
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember it being a bit of a thorn in the side of everyone on the ship.
And she gets... It seems to be... In Discovery, Burnham's character path is getting promoted and demoted constantly between captain and not captain. And yeah, in season 3, not captain, end of season 3 is captain. That's, I guess, their track, I suppose.
Yeah. I thought it was good because I believe she was she commander in season 1?
I think so, yeah, because she was the first officer.
That's right.
Yeah, but then she got demoted, and then Saru took over being first officer.
Yeah, that's right.
And then he was captain for a bit. And at some point, Tilly gets made captain. And yeah, there's no one captain of Discovery. It sort of changes quite a lot.
It's not like in TNG where it's like Picard was the captain, Riker was first officer. Nothing changes for 7 years.
I think it's fair to say that Michael Burnham is the main character of Discovery, to the point that I said in the last Discovery podcast is I don't think enough focus is on the other characters, the other crew members. Saying about that is there was kind of a B plot in this, or a C plot. So we had Discovery being taken over and that getting recaptured, and then you have the things on the planet and the holodeck with Saru and all that and that stuff. But on Discovery, there's a subplot of the non-main crew, the other bridge crew, retaking Discovery and setting that bomb and stuff. And that was really nice. They all got a nice bit of attention, and they had their own little storyline going. I really enjoyed that. We learned some stuff about some of those characters. With Discovery in general, I can't remember their names very well because I don't think those side characters get enough attention compared to some of the other Star Trek shows. I had to go and look them up. In the last Discovery episode, we had a reasonable amount of time with Lieutenant Detmer. She's the one with the cyborg implants.
Yes, with the eye.
With the eye, yeah. And in this one, we have Lieutenant Owasekan, and she's the one who can breathe a lot, and she sets the bomb eventually.
That's right.
So we get a little bit of her this time.
She can hold her breath for, 10 minutes?
10 minutes, she could do on.
I wonder if that's a Monkey Island reference. Because,
it might.
Yeah, it just seems...
It might be, but I know that there are a lot of cultures which sea diving is quite important.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people who can hold their breath for a long time.
Because in Monkey Island, there's a pun where Guybrush, the main character, can specifically only hold his breath for exactly 10 minutes, and anything beyond that, below that, he
so it's 10 or nothing.
He dies. So it's 10, and then...
That's pretty funny.
So
I like
on the
that.
original game back in, I think it's 1991 it was released, if you stayed underwater for 10 minutes, you would actually... It's the only way of dying in that game, is to actually kill gargoyles by...
exactly
make them
10
stay under
minutes.
there. Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
It may not be, but...
No, maybe.
Yeah.
But if it's not a reference, it's something you think is a reference, and that works.
Yeah, my own personal reference.
Exactly.
At least, right.
Should we start the only sort of I guess, kind of criticism I have of the episode?
Yeah.
Or I guess, I'm going to say season 3. And it's...
Okay.
So, and that is with Sakal, the Kelpian character, on that holodeck. He's
yes.
He's a fully grown person, but he appears to be... I'm gonna say emotionally stunted because of the way he's been raised by this holodeck.
Yeah.
He causes the burn. And so, question is, do you know what the burn is?
Yeah, it's something to do with the warp core.
Yeah, so when they came to the future, Discovery, they discovered that warp travel had been really hindered. I think 100 years ago, before they arrived, so the 30th century, all warp cores everywhere exploded. It was kind of like an apocalypse, I suppose. And that, affected everyone. And the cause of the burn was this Sakal character getting emotionally compromised. And the Doctor explained he had some sort of connection with dilithium and subspace. They had that conversation, and that caused this sort of explosion. It's not my favourite explanation.
No.
That one character who just became emotionally compromised
caused
so much destruction.
I mean, surely these warp cores would have had some protection, like firewall.
It sort of went through subspace. It's sciencey the tech kind of.
Yeah.
I think I would have liked it more if the cause of the burn had been some mad scientist doing an experiment and that went awry, or maybe there was two factions, very the Federation and the Romulans. They had, think of it like the Cold War of mutually assured destruction. They both had nuclear weapons. We can destroy your warp core, but we can destroy your warp cores, and that went hot. And that, I think,
rather than have one random event which was unintended.
Yeah,
it's
I think the consequences of his emotional breakdown were too high.
Yeah,
I don't mind the burn. I think that's actually quite an interesting thing to have happened.
Yeah,
that all those warp cores blowing up. It's just how it happened, with just one guy being sad.
Maybe in season 4 we find out, or
well, no, season 4 is that's them.
It's all separate.
Yeah, that's them rebuilding. They've now got this planet full of dilithium, and they've got Discovery, which has got the spore drive. So they're starting to rebuild.
Yeah, you're right. It does seem a bit of a extreme thing to have happened from one person being upset.
Yeah,
I need to really watch all of season 3 so I can be like, yes, I kind of don't understand a lot of the backstory really. So it could be it is explained in some way. It would make me feel a little bit better about it. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm saying also, if I go back and watch season 3, I might also be a bit more easy on it. But just coming back into it on this one.
Yeah.
That's only sort of the only thing I did season 3 at Discovery doesn't quite gel with me, I think. But the rest of it I quite like. I quite like the whole Asira taking over Discovery and then sort of duking out with the Federation.
She was good. She was a good bad guy. And I mean, I take it, is from the 30th.
Yes.
31st century or wherever they are. The 31st century then?
31st, I'm pretty sure.
So, yeah, she's obviously...
I don't know if you kind of got the impression, but we see the Federation in that kind of cloaked shield thing.
Yeah.
And they have all those ships in there. But they're like a remnant of former self because of the burn.
Because of the burn, right.
And Asira, the Emerald Chain, they're I think a pirate faction. They're the big players. They're the ones that can kick butt, and they basically have control over multiple worlds and stuff. So they sort of hold all the guns and the bargaining chips. So it's kind of a different sort of power play, I think.
Yeah.
On the Federation, and when we see them, I really like that we get you get a few shots in the Federation, because they're not on a planet, they're on a space station kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I really like when it's in there, you see all these Federation ships, these 31st century ships, and they've all got cool designs. They're hollowed out with just rings. There's some really big bulbous ones. Looks like a fish. They're really cool.
It's all sort of new designs.
Yeah, I love all these new designs. and again, not really complaints, just like a way the show is sort of done. They're quite quick shots.
Yeah.
And it doesn't linger on any of them too long, so you can't get a good look at them. It's a bit of a shame. Have you seen the motion picture Star Trek?
Many years ago now.
Okay, do you remember the bit where it spends I think it's actually about 10 minutes slowly panning round the Enterprise?
Yes, you see
every single angle.
Yeah.
I didn't quite want that, but just a little bit. Just a few more cool shots. A little
bit more lingering.
Yeah. I don't know if you caught, but when Admiral Vance is calling out orders to take down Discovery, he mentions his Voyager, so the name Voyager has survived 900 years.
Yeah.
And when it's sort of going around in that Federation, that little battle scene, there's a ship in there which looks a little bit like Voyager. It looks a little bit like the Intrepid class.
So it's
not actually Voyager, but it's does the design could be inspired by it?
It's going to be modern
Voyager. Modern Voyager, yeah, which I quite liked. I like the look, the Federation and the 31st
I like the outfits. They're very
good uniform.
Yes, very good uniform.
Yeah, they're very smart.
And the sort of the insignia that they got and everything. Very
nice.
Yeah.
And I like how they have the red and the gold and a stripe down one side.
It looks very in keeping with 31st century fashion.
It does. I quite like the season 1, season 2 Discovery uniforms, all blue with the gold and silver. I kind of like that, but the 31st century ones.
Yeah.
Nice, really nice. On uniforms. Asira's henchmen, those bad guys, they look like Daft Punk. They have these masks on.
Yeah, they do. They do. Actually, I didn't even think about that. Yeah, it is very similar to that, or something like with that Will Smith film, the robots. iRobot.
Yeah,
a bit like that.
Yeah. They were cool bad guys, just like his henchmen go. But I just couldn't get out of my head. I was like, Daft Punk.
Talking of those robots, there's the other robots, which are clearly CGI.
Yes.
To the point where it's painful, but. Yeah, that one that sort of saved a life. I almost feel like, were you better animated, I feel more sympathy for you.
Yeah.
Or not better animated, that's probably budget or something, but I feel like they could have done something with, maybe a droid or remote control or an actual real thing that wasn't clearly so animated.
I'm not going to say a big fan, but I don't mind CGI. I think CGI is fine, used in the right way. Sometimes it gets overused, and I think that was a case where a practical effect complemented by CGI.
Yeah.
Maybe just have a physical robot, but maybe animate the head movements or the eye movements. Maybe.
Yeah. See, all I can imagine is the actors talking to a tennis ball on a stick.
Yeah.
And I cannot. My brain won't be like Lord of the Rings, for example.
Yeah.
A lot of the monsters, with the exception of the cave troll, probably, I hope, were not real. They weren't actually there.
No, of course.
So they were, fighting the characters and Whereas in The Hobbit, which was made later, a lot of it was animated, and I kind of felt that.
Yeah.
I didn't feel as attached to it, and I'm sure that's why it's not as popular.
No, I completely agree.
And the same with this episode. I could just imagine I didn't feel any attachment to the robots because they were just tennis balls on a stick.
You're definitely right. Yeah, in Lord of the Rings, all the orcs in Uruk-hai, they're all guys in costumes.
Yeah.
And it just works, whereas in, you're right, The Hobbit is mostly animated guys.
Yes.
It doesn't quite land quite as right.
Great technology and the way it works, but
yeah, because it can be done right. Like you look at like Avatar, for example, it just works. Like you believe it.
Oh yeah,
so it can be done right, and it can be done wrong.
Yes.
You have to find that right balance. Oh, I guess more on the look and style of this show. I quite liked the Hollow world. I liked what it looked like. I liked how it was breaking down and crumbling. It was like the computer was struggling to hold on and keep it running, but it wasn't. And I liked how, at one point there was this giant alien fish thing flying through, and it was like a school program. It was I kind of it was just throwing anything together to make it work. So I kind of liked that look about it.
I thought it was good as well. That sort of, and the planet outside of the simulation.
Yeah, with the ship.
All sort of, it just looked rocky and
barren,
spiky and barren and dangerous.
So you can see why his mother would have made a Hollow world. Just live here for a few months. The Federation will be here. It'll be fine.
Yeah,
and what a great survival technique is just go live in a holodeck for you crash on a random planet.
But she only meant him, I guess, to stay in there for a limited time.
And he was there, I think 125 years it says, which is a long time, which I think is why he's so emotionally stunted, because all he's spoken to is these hollows.
Yeah, because I wasn't sure if he was going to turn out to be a bad guy, because some of the... I'm sure it's because the acting, or the skill of the acting, is when Saru talked to him, he paused and he looked, and I was like, is he gonna turn out to be a bad guy or unstable, which he may well have been? But yeah, it's just I like the way his character was.
Yeah, it's a good character. I think you're right. Yeah, it could have gone that like, oh, he's evil, but no, I think it was more him. He was distrustful of Saru because these are new characters in his Hollow. He's been there for 100 years, and here's suddenly some new people, and he's never seen it. Well, it's been ages since he's seen another real person. So yeah, just distrust.
There's quite a few times where he did get upset about something, and he shouted, and the floor shook. And, oh god, it's another burn.
Yeah,
and I thought something else will happen, like just finish repairing the core, and then he does this again, and he sets off another burn. But luckily that didn't happen. Yeah, mini burn.
So when I'm going to call them the lower deck crew. I know they're the bridge crew.
Yeah.
And they're the below decks, and they're trying to take back the ship. And when they're fighting their way through, it's cool action. It's a very actiony kind of episode. I really quite like it. Some good action shots. And they make the bomb, and they go into the nacelles to destabilize it. On my second rewatch, when I was taking notes, I paused and I rewound and I made exact notes. Tilly was saying about when they plan to blow up the nacelle. Magnetic fields hold the nacelles together. They use superconductors. So, remember in our previous episode of podcasts when we were talking about how Discovery got an upgrade? And the nacelles,
like part of the
nacelles are floating.
Yeah.
They use magnets. Explain this episode. They use magnets, and that's why this is a stupid idea. Because magnets can be interrupted. And magnets... I don't understand the advantages of using floating nacelles.
No, because you would be like, fire a sheet of metal between the magnets, and it would be like it would cut off.
Just fire like a magnet, but flip the wrong way round.
Yeah.
In between.
So the magnets go, that's true. And it would disrupt their highly thought out plan. Yeah, unless the magnets have shields, they might have like little shields around them.
But I still can't see the advantages of having floating nacelles.
No.
It's not saving that much weight. Now, Asira's ship, her big ship that she's got, when that's flying through warp, you see it, and that is two giant chunks of ship.
Yeah.
And that's held together by magnets in the middle. It's separated in the middle, but it's basically like two separate ships. That makes more sense.
Yeah.
That is like an evolution of the Enterprise D when it could separate.
Yeah.
So that you could see that, okay, quick, in a combat situation, just cut the magnets, and now you've got two ships quickly flying about. It took the D minutes to separate. It was not a quick process.
No.
So I can see it as an advantage when it's sort of splitting the ship in half.
Yeah.
But just for nacelles, I don't get it. I don't think I'm ever going to get it. It looks cool, but I don't get it. No. It's definitely a weakness in the ship.
Yeah, and that's they have some magnet technology we just don't know about yet. You know, we're talking about.
It uses superconductors. That's what Tilly says.
But they could be like, I guess they are
space superconductors.
They could be superconductors, but the 31st century. But yeah, I see what you mean. But I still want a magnet chair. I know you can get them now.
Yes.
So you sit on a chair and there's a magnet thing.
Okay. I think it was in one of the Lower Decks episodes I mentioned how much I like seeing the behind the scenes of the turbolifts. And in this episode, we get tons of shots of behind the scenes of a turbolifts. There's an actual fight sequence going on in there. It's really cool. I look like this big open space and there's turbolifts whizzing about. It looks really cool. But it's so impractical, and I love how impractical the turbolifts are. Because there's all this empty space in the middle of the ship doing nothing. And you would think that space would be a premium in a starship. But no, they have tons of it just floating there, and it makes no sense. But I love it. And we see the same in Strange New Worlds as well.
Maybe that's what they're called, spaceships.
Yeah, not because they're in space.
No, they have so much space, and they haven't figured out a way of like.
Yeah, that's the difference between a starship and a spaceship.
Yeah, exactly. Starships are smaller.
Yeah. Oh, that's basic.
Yeah, but no, you're right, and it does seem quite impractical, and also when she did that, James Bond style, jumping out onto the. I was like, you would not, I don't care what your 31st century
you just
physique
wouldn't.
is, you would not survive a fall like that and just land as neatly as you can.
Do you know what the best part about it is? Her and Book are in that turbolift, they're fighting away, and she's like, oh my god, we've got to move, we've got to do something. And she's like, I've got a plan. cover me, and she just jumps off the
I
side.
know.
She doesn't tell him the plan.
And leaves him with, like, people shooting at him.
He's like, wait, should I jump too?
Yeah.
I gotta stay?
He doesn't know.
He has no idea.
That's the word. That is a... Yeah, and she's now captain.
Yeah.
Guys, I have a plan. And then just not say anything.
Yeah, it just jumps.
Yeah.
I love it.
Brilliant.
Okay, yeah. When Michael finally gets to the engine core, not the engine core, the computer core,
Yes.
and she's fighting Asira, she kills Asira. Wait, no, so before she kills Asira pushes her into a wall of computer
I
chips,
noticed this.
and she almost drowns. And I was like, okay, ignoring that, what is that thing? And that is a big health and safety risk.
Isn't it? Because she comes out, and for a start, she swallowed most of it. So she's then puking up holographic chips. But why is it there? Why isn't there a panel over it?
Just like a bit of plexiglass.
Yeah, or a warning sign. Like a little yellow sign saying, watch out.
The scenario I can't get out of my head is that in a normal day, there's a few ensigns working there. I just like imagine like Mariner and Boiler just working. And one of them just trips and lands heads first into that thing. And then they just suffocate in a computer.
Because I thought, obviously incorrectly, that it was to do with the hollow simulation.
Oh, right,
and I thought she'd been pushed into that, and then she was going to appear in that. But no, it just seemed to be a random blue chip ball
of death.
That does what?
Yeah.
And she obviously went in quite deep.
Yeah, she did.
But then, obviously, it didn't impact her movement that much because she was able to pull her gun out, turn around. No, she didn't.
She was facing the right way.
But she was able to pull her gun out and maybe like...
I guess kind of like being like pushed into a wall of custard, I guess.
It's probably like custard. Yeah.
Mechanical.
So it's probably took her a while to raise her arm out.
Yeah.
And then, but then I thought when she shoots a gun, isn't it just going to... The blue chips aren't going to clog it, or she'd fire blue chips out the end of the gun. And so like...
Or
what's the name of the baddie?
Asira.
So Asira would then get shot by blue chips,
Yeah.
and be like, "Oh, this doesn't hurt at all."
Or also just damage a vital part of the computer equipment.
Exactly.
It didn't seem to have any effect on the working of a ship.
No,
just throwing
I've
a
never seen a blue chip wall like that before.
No,
in any other episode.
Yeah, just the health and safety around that thing. It
absolutely.
needs a bit of glass on in front of that.
Maybe since Starfleet's not the power it was, health and safety's become more lax.
Well, that's a good point because obviously Discovery's a 23rd century ship, but it got a retrofit when it came to a 31st century. So I'm not sure if this is old tech or new tech.
Right.
Yeah, so maybe it's a 31st century Starfleet just putting these dangerous walls around.
Maybe, yeah.
Crazy, yeah.
But anyway, it was interesting, yeah.
It was interesting, if weird. The warp core breach. I love a good warp core breach. It happens a few times in Star Trek, there are various shows. I love seeing a ship blow up and stuff.
Yeah.
I've got another, I guess almost kind of health and safety kind of thing on the warp core breach.
Yeah, carry on.
Okay.
There's a lot of violations they're making, I would have to say. If we were health and safety in the 31st century, we would be like...
Oh, definitely.
Absolutely.
Okay. So,
write him a book.
When you eject a warp core, I assume that is there not as a weapon. That is normally there because something's gone wrong and it's going to blow up. There's been a mechanical failure. You've got to get rid of a dangerous thing. Get it off the ship as quickly as possible. It tumbles down a shaft and it scrapes and knocks against the side of the shaft as it's falling out. And I was like, if you're ejecting the warp core, the normal reason to do that would be because it's in a state of disrepair. It's going to blow up. It's going critical.
Yeah.
So surely you wouldn't want it to knock and tumble on the way down?
No.
Have like a nice, clear, smooth ride out of the ship. And then,
exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, I thought it was weird how it just all tumbled.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, if you say it's not meant to be used as a weapon, like, the warp core's backfiring, let's fire it at a ship we don't like.
Exactly, yeah.
It wasn't. It was like, just get rid of it.
Yeah.
Carefully.
Yeah.
In the most uncareful way possible.
Yeah. Good explosion though when it did go boom.
Oh, yeah,
it was a good boom.
It was.
That was a good CGI effect. That's what.
Yeah, I agree, and I think the special effects of everything else, but the robots were fantastic in this episode.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I liked at the end when Discovery's coming back to the Federation. They have like a little starship procession, all the ships are there lined up.
Yeah,
it's kind of nice, shooting it's like a gun salute, I suppose, or something.
Yeah. I like the captain as well. The sort of...
the Admiral?
The Admiral, yes.
He's a good Admiral.
Yeah.
Season 4, it wasn't in one episode we watched, but him and Tilly stay behind, I think it's Tilly. They don't go to the other galaxy too. He did some really cool stuff. Yeah, he's a really good character. I like Admiral Vance. He's good. Yeah.
I just thought the highlight for me was Saru and
Sakal.
Saru and Sakal in this episode. I just thought they.
Yeah, it was a good.
When they kept cutting away, I was like, no, go back to Saru and Sakal.
I was kind of the opposite. I was kind of more invested in recapturing of Discovery. I quite like seeing the lower deck crew. I kind of like. I was more interested in what was going on there.
Yeah, that was good as well. But for me, it was Saru and Sakal. I was like, no, I want to find out what happens. And then at the end, when he takes Sakal back to his homeworld, that was a fantastic shot.
Oh, the moment when Sakal turns around and he sees Saru as a Kelpian.
Yes.
And he's like,
"Oh, you are real."
Yeah, it was. That was a good moment.
That was good.
That was. I enjoyed that.
Because it could have been like they were tricking him. I mean, that obviously
he's got a lot of faith. Yeah.
But if he comes out of the simulation and then there's no one there, it's like,
oh man, yeah.
Oh my god, the Hollows have tricked me. Yeah. And now he can't get back into the simulation. That would be so cruel, but yeah, that didn't happen. Luckily.
Yeah.
It would have been quite a nice twist. It could be one of those what if.
Yeah, what if
things? Yeah. What if they actually were?
I'd quite like a Star Trek what if.
Yeah.
I mean, we kind of have that with the very shorts a little bit. They're kind of like silly sort of Star Trekky sort of stuff, but kind of cool. It'd be kind of nice to we have had a Star Trek what if. TNG, when Q messes with Picard and he doesn't get stabbed.
Oh yeah, Tapestry.
Tapestry.
Yeah,
that's it. Yeah. That's a what if.
I like that.
Yeah.
That's
just like
true.
just an ensign, isn't he?
He's like, yeah. I mean, I'd like to discuss, chance of promotion. He's like, we don't really think
you're a bit shit.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Riker that was not a good moment for Riker. I don't think. I think Riker could have. Although him and Troy, they handled that well. But they were also, I think, quite dismissive.
Yeah, but how many ensigns do they get each day or week coming up and trying to get promoted?
So many captain spots.
They might get,
Imagine that going your entire life, your entire career, living in those sort of communal quarters with the crap replicator rations. Obviously, that Picard there, that alternative Picard, had been doing that for what? I don't know, 40 years, 50 years? Oof, indeed.
What if he had his same traits that he had as captain, but living that life he didn't know he was captain, so he's just like a really annoying ensign because he had all these particular ways.
Yeah,
oh, great hot, but like
you really like Shakespeare.
Yeah.
And archaeology.
Everyone just avoids him because he's like, oh god.
Yeah, he's a weird one. Yeah. Yeah, I guess we could swing into our IMDb's.
I think so.
Yeah. Okay.
So I thought really good episodes. I am going to give it a 7.2.
7.2?
Yes.
Fantastic.
I thought it was very good special effects. And I like the interaction between Saru and Sakal.
Yeah, I quite liked it too. And as I sort of alluded to at the beginning of the episode, I wasn't too pumped about going into the episode, but I enjoyed it more when I actually watched it. I really liked it. It was a bit more action orientated. I like the fight scenes, retaking Discovery. I thought it was really cool. I like the explosion when they did the warp core breach and stuff. And yeah, like you, I did quite like the Saru and Sakal interactions. I actually had to go back and check I wanted to make sure I gave this the right IMDb ratings. I enjoyed this episode of Discovery more than the other episode of Discovery we watched, the season 4 episode. So I wanted to make sure I gave it a slightly higher rating than that one. And I rated that one 6.9. So yeah, I want to give this one... I'm going to give this one. I'm going to give it 7.3.
Yeah?
Yeah, really quite liked it. I liked it quite a bit more than the other Discovery one. Yeah, so 7.3.
That's a respectable rating.
There Is Hope Part 2 gets a 6.5 on IMDb.
That's lower than I was expecting.
Yeah, for a season final. And I think as far as the season final goes, I thought it was pretty good. It had tension, drama and stuff. I mean, it might be because of... As my sort of criticism earlier was about what caused a burn. I know I'm not the only fan who doesn't love that thing.
Yeah, it could be to do with that.
Excluding that part, though, I liked the episode and I thought it was really good. But yeah, just that one sort of little thing. So now, super exciting, really exciting. We're going to spin for our last episode.
The finale.
Episode. So I ask you this every time, what do you want to watch?
I would like to watch an episode of Voyager.
Yeah, it keeps coming up, Voyager, doesn't it? We keep both saying it.
I'd like to watch it, especially as we've seen Voyager, or the new up-to-date Voyager in this episode we just watched.
Yeah.
And
we did.
And it was mentioned, of course, as well. Yeah. So Voyager, please.
What would I like to watch? I think I'm going to say anything but the new Treks. And that includes even like the shows I love, like Lower Decks and Strange New Worlds.
Yeah.
I think we've had, in this podcast, the last 9 episodes, we've had more newer Trek than we have of the older Trek. And I like the old Trek, and I want to watch more of that. So yeah, anything from the old stuff. That is The Spin. The animated series.
Oh.
So we have got old Trek.
Yes.
We've got the original series cartoons. So I think this means that we will have now watched every animated series of Star Trek.
Yeah.
We had this one, Prodigy, and Lower Decks. So we're really hitting the cartoons.
Definitely,
and I think I mentioned before in one of our previous episodes, I really enjoyed the animated series. Yeah, it must have been on the very short episode where it sort of borrows that art style, that animation style. Yeah, because it allowed them to do original series episodes with, they could have more freedom of the animation. They could have actual aliens and weird stuff. I can't remember how many series it was. I'm going to Google. I think it's 2. I think it's 2 seasons.
I think it's 3.
I think it's 3. Okay, let's have a look. There are 2 seasons and 22 episodes total. I think season 2 has like 5 episodes. I think it got cut very short. I think. So yeah, I guess we're just doing like a coin flip. Yeah. I have no preference on series or episode. So 1 or 2. Here we go. 1.
That's
series
good.
1. Series.
That's good.
And I'll have to check how many episodes are in series 1. So it's 16 in season 1 and 6 in number 2.
Oh right.
So I was right. Yeah, the second series got cut short.
Yeah.
I have no idea why. Probably ratings. So we got an animated series. Season 1, we're going to spin for the episodes, which will be out of 16. Here we go. 9. Smack bang in the middle. Let's find a synopsis. So it's called Once Upon a Planet. Let me find a thing. Sounds fun and jovial.
Yeah.
The crew of the USS Enterprise return to a Fantasyland planet they once visited in Shore Leave. But this time the world seems to have lost its charm. This episode is a sequel to the original Star Trek television episode Shore Leave. I don't think that last sentence was part of the synopsis, but yes, I remember Shore Leave. Shore Leave is they go down and whatever their imagination conjures up becomes a thing. So there's like Alice and the White Rabbits there.
Yeah.
And there's a guy with a gun, or was it Robin? Yeah. There's I think Sulu imagines a revolver. I think. And it's a good episode. It's pretty silly. It's kind of like an original series holodeck episode because they didn't have holodecks in the original series. That's kind of that.
Yeah.
So,
look forward to it.
So we've got that, but in cartoon form. Should be fun. Thank you for listening today on Warp Factor Unknown, where we spoke about the Discovery episode, There Is Hope, Part 2. That was a season final for Series 3. Hope you join us again next time, where we talk about our final episode of this run of 10, the animated series, Season 1, Episode 9, Once Upon a Planet, the sequel to Shore Leave, the original series. So we get to talk about that. That'll be really exciting. Thank you very much.
Thanks everyone. See you next time.
If you'd like to contact us, please email us at warpfactorunknown@outlook.com. That again is warpfactorunknown@outlook.com. The music we've been using for these episodes is called Starfleet Command by Jeff Harvey, and you can find more of his work on pixabay.com.